Hey guys, Urban Combat Survivor here. This is going to be a video response to SpieraCrotalus. He talked about some things in his video update, in his channel update video, and it's a lot of stuff to cover. I've tried to make this video a few times, so I've restructured what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it, and let's see if it gets everything in on time. I'm going to do this like I do with Mike. I'm just going to talk straight to you and have it as a conversation back and forth. I don't know how far or how deep into this kind of stuff you want to go, so I guess if you reply, we can continue the conversation. I've had a problem doing video responses to you in the past because you cover so much ground and so many topics. You hit on so many good points that I want to talk about that I feel like I either don't have enough time to do everything in the video, or I feel like I didn't cover things in the way, I didn't get to say and express things in the way that I thought that they would be effective. So I'm going to try this a little bit different way and see if it works out this time. I'm just going to try to cover the main points, other than, that you're changing the focus of your channel here. So the two key points as I saw them were, one, you talked about a timeline, 12 to 24 months in your estimation. And another thing you talked about is that you don't feel that there is a need for us to take up arms and have a violent revolution. I want to hit on both of those. So first I'm going to do the timeline, get that out of the way, and then hop to the other part. I don't nail down timelines, and there's a bunch of reasons on why I don't nail down timelines. I'll just give a few here, and I think it should kind of give my thought processing on why I don't do that. One is I have 700 plus subscribers, and I don't want to steer people wrong. I don't have any definitive knowledge on things, so I wouldn't want to steer anybody wrong. Further, I think that using timelines like that, Shall Not Be Infringed talked about this in a couple of his videos, I think, where people use, kind of like a pressure sales tactic, like, in 5 years, all the, white dodo birds are going to be dead. We got to do something now. And I think that kind of pressure will turn people away and make them dismiss the topic, first off. And second off, new people coming in, they might feel so overwhelmed with that kind of pressure that they just say, well, it's too late. There's nothing I can do, and I'm screwed. And I don't think either of those is effective or true. I think people coming in, if this is the first video that somebody sees, right here, this one, I think they still have time. They can take a few $100 and go get a very solid foundation started on preparation. So, I don't feel like it's too late for people, and I don't think setting timelines is going to put them in the right mind frame, in my opinion, for my approach. I try to set things by priority levels instead. Like I made a video a little while ago about stepping up your preps because of a lot of bad indicators that are going on, that kind of thing. So what I think is an approach that I find effective in communication is making a list of preparations and then prioritizing that list, and absolutely doing the top priority things on the list. Normally I say do water first because, one, water can be done fairly quickly and easily if you have any ability to Google. You can look up how to make a biosand filter, and you can put that together. You can check out the video that I linked in my favorites for pool shock. And, in just a single trip, 10-minute trip to Walmart, you can have everything that you need to set up a water purification system. So then food, and I mentioned in another video, and I've seen some videos since I made mine talking about it as well, on on speeding up your food prep because of the cost of food that's already been bumping up in the last month or 2 or 3. And over the past year, it's been creeping up, and then it started jumping. And I think in January, when the Fed starts reevaluating and re-evaluating the monetary system, I think the price is just going to bump. So I think food has to be way up there. Then after food, defense, making sure you have at least a single weapon to defend your home and your family and that kind of thing. And then after that, moving on to things like heat and, peripheral stuff. But things that don't matter without the other thing. Food doesn't matter if you don't have water. Water and food don't matter if you don't have a way to defend them. So you have to have those things first. Then you establish later things, heat, that kind of thing. That's just my approach. That's my opinion. I prioritize things in a list, and I think doing the things that are absolute top priority that's left on your list first, I think will garner the best results and make you feel like you're not overwhelmed. You've got one thing you got to handle this week or this month. So that's just the way I see it. I just think nailing down a timeline. I talked about this a little bit in a video I made to Irish. A lot of people talk about specifically what they think is going to happen, and I don't do that either because, there's so many different things that could happen from natural to man-made. The list is almost endless. So specifying a single one that I think I'm prepping for, I think kind of distracts from the point that prepping, in my opinion, needs to be a lifestyle change. It needs to be a decision that we make to be as self-sufficient as we possibly can and move towards that self-sufficiency in a way that's cost-effective for us in whatever our situation is. And I don't think prepping has to cost money. I've done a lot of my videos are around the philosophy of like zero cost preparation, and actually I think prep saves money if you do it right and you follow it. It's very quickly going to return its own investment and more. So, so to me, it's a balance of priorities. Prioritize each thing on your list compared to the other things and get to them. Urgency levels, Another thing is, what if you give this time frame and it passes and nothing has happened and people start relaxing, start eating their food stores, start maybe selling off some of their equipment because the time frame has come, things look like they're going okay, and then boom, something happens. So again, that's why I think it has to be a lifestyle change. It has to be an actual mental, shifting of gears to this new kind of approach to the way you live. It doesn't mean you have to live like some hermit or some survivalist off in the woods. It just means understanding that, something may come down the road, a hurricane, an earthquake, a riot, whatever it is, a snowstorm that knocks out the power for 3 weeks or 6 months or whatever it is, that, being prepared for that is something that each American used to be. We all used to be ready for these kinds of things, and somewhere along the road it changed and we became a disposable society, and that's a whole different video. I don't want to scare people off with too much pressure, I already said that, but I wanted to say it again. I think if you dump too much on people and it's got to be done in the next 12 months, some people are just going to throw their hands up and that's it. So some people are turned off by time frames and pressure sales and that kind of thing. So there's that. I want to go to the second point, and that's that you felt we didn't need to have a violent revolution. What we need is an intellectual revolution, and I think you nailed it dead on with that. I don't think we need to take up arms at this point. I don't think we're there. And if it ever gets to the point that we are there, I'm not going to be the one to start it, but being ready to defend your home and your family and being prepared to do those things over the long haul, I think is just good thinking. I think really what's going on is that there's already an intellectual revolution that started, in the 1890s or even earlier, but it started being effective in the 1890s, and it got teeth in 1913 with a couple of legislative passes and signatures from the president. But I think what we need to do is do everything that we can to start shifting the thinking of Americans back to critical analysis, critical thinking. Talk to people. There's a problem with this because so many people that do critically analyze things out there, they wind up coming off as very condescending. They kind of lord it over people who don't critically analyze things. I see it a lot in comments, people saying, well, you haven't thought of this and you haven't considered that, and what about this? Everyone has their own approach, and everyone is in their own stages of critically analyzing the world around them in whatever capacity they're capable of doing. And I think what we need to do is learn how to communicate and teach this kind of thinking process, logical, reasoned thinking, in a way that doesn't come off as condescending or talking down to people, because that's just going to turn them off. And that, you know, we don't want to turn people off. We want people to open their minds and just really think about stuff. Even if you disagree with my assessment or your assessment or anyone else's, the ability to critically analyze at least brings you into an adult conversation and an informed conversation, in my opinion. Raise your own kids, man. Don't let the school system raise them, because the school system does not want your kids critically analyzing anything. They don't want it. And make sure you teach your kids to be humble in the way that they talk to other people in this stuff too. You know, not everybody is on the same intellectual level. Not everyone, even if they are, is on the same realization path or even opinion as anyone else. So, you know, be humble and present your argument, and you know, do it in a way that, for instance, don't let people distract with personal attacks. That's one of the tactics. If you're critically and logically laying something out and showing where something just doesn't make sense to a logical thinker, very often they'll turn to some kind of personal attack on me or you or Sarah Palin or Fox News or whatever they can use to distract from the actual conversation. They will, because there's no real answer. There's no logical answer they can give. So, you know, they attack instead. Or they try to reframe the debate and give you, you know, it's either this or that, like the TSA thing. It's either we do a digital strip search or we get to touch your junk. You know, it's one or the other. How about it's you allow us our Second Amendment rights and we'll protect ourselves as Americans as we've been meant to do by the Founding Fathers. But it's a different video as well. I think every conversation I try to approach from a standpoint of intellectual honesty and moral integrity. And I think the only product of those two things, that kind of thinking process, the only product can be reason. A well-reasoned argument can't be defeated by attacks unless you allow the attacks to distract from the actual debate. Or you allow them to reframe the debate, as I said a little while ago. I think you nailed it dead on. We need an intellectual revolution, and hopefully these conversations are starting that for a few people, and hopefully it's not too late for ideas and for philosophy and for the re-exertion and restoration of the kind of morals and thinking and the restoration of the initial Constitution as it was meant to be. Hopefully it's not too late for those things through this kind of venue. If it's not, then, you know, I don't know. I don't think there's much that you or I can do to stop that at this point, beyond what we're trying to do here in communication. So, hopefully this video didn't pass over the 15-minute mark, as the others have. And hopefully this kind of hit on the points that you were really wanting to talk about, rather than side points that you know, I may have misinterpreted your main points there. So there's my response. If anyone's still here, it probably sucked, but there you go. So, Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.